Survivor 44, the finale. We are at the finale once again, and this one was okay. It was an okay finale, actually. Another good finale. I will say that before I even get into everything else. Another good finale, with the new Survivor that they're airing, like they're declaring it as like the new era of Survivor. So, of the new era, I suppose you'd call it, with 41 and on. It's another decent finale, and I'm glad that we have a satisfying conclusion. But let's get to it. So let's just jump to it, okay? At the immunity challenge, you get to it pretty quickly. The aftermath of the last tribal council, of course, with Jamie getting voted out. But we jump into it. The immunity challenge is the second to last immunity challenge, so you're earning your way into the final four. And Carson is once again dominant in this one. So this challenge, it's another challenge where it almost looked new to me, but then they did like a puzzle at the end. I don't know if they've done that exact puzzle before. They might have, because of just how quickly Carson got that puzzle completed. But with a lot of the puzzle challenges this season, Carson has been very dominant on the puzzles. I think he ended up winning one of the challenges for his tribe with the puzzle earlier on in the season, and then he's won a few other ones as well with like puzzles and stuff. He's like really good at the puzzles. He's memorized previous older survivor challenges and puzzles that they've done. So again, that makes me wonder if that's an exact one they've done before, or he's just really good at doing a puzzle. But he ends up winning the challenge, so he is going to make it to the final four. And yeah, so he gets to basically choose who's also going on the reward with him, because he also won rewards. So they go to the sanctuary place like one more time, and because there's only 5 people left, he only gets to choose one person to go with him to the reward, and he chooses Jam Jam. And because Jam Jam and Carson are 2 of the final 3 Tika members left on Survivor in 44 here, they're starting to have a discussion the Tika 3, the Tika Strong, is starting to fall apart a little bit, because it was bound to happen. We're at the end of the game, and Carson and Jam Jam are now questioning can we trust Carolyn, because Carolyn's one of the Tika 3, and she is I would say throughout the game she's been a significant player, at least as the the editing and the show itself has shown to us. And Jam Jam is very, very nervous of Carolyn, and he mentions that to Carson, who Carson also mentions he wants to get out Lauren. He thinks that she's some sort of threat. That's mentioned many times in this whole episode, is that Lauren is this really big threat. And it's where is Lauren? Lauren's not done a whole lot this season, I'll be real. Obviously she's getting more screen time as the season goes on, because she's still in it, but that's because there's way less people. But her and Heidi are kind of they're just kind of there, and then you have the other players, the other bigger players. That's the way I've seen it. So he brings up Lauren. So Lauren, Carolyn, just kind of debating on who they're going to get voted out. So the Tika 3 is basically starting to, fracture a little bit. They're trying to see if they want to stick with their Tika 3, or if they want to turn on the Tika 3 finally. So before the tribal, you could see that Carolyn and Jam Jam are kind of at odds again. And it doesn't really overall pan out in the actual tribal, because ultimately in the tribal council, Lauren is voted out, but not before she completely melts down and weeps her way to try and not get voted out. Right before they voted, you could tell it's either she is trying to play to the jury and she found that idol that they were teasing at, that she may have found the idol, or she is just straight up she is playing for her life right now in this game. She's weeping for the people around her to keep her in the game, and she gets voted out anyways. So she is the next one voted out, and there are 4 left. Then that is Carson, Jam Jam, Carolyn, and Heidi. So Lauren is out, and we move on. In the next challenge, which is obviously the big final challenge that they now do every season. It's the tradition of Survivor now to do this, the ball in the maze thing, where that's not really a maze, but they have to drop it into the little thing, and it kind of goes around. They have to continuously replace the ball through the course, and they have to continuously add the balls into the thing, and then it gets harder and harder, obviously, as the challenge goes on, and they only have one hand because they have their other hand tied behind their back. So they're doing this challenge again. again, and it lasts, I think it lasts a little longer than it normally does, I think. Several of the players last pretty long in this challenge. Carolyn gets out first, but ultimately Heidi does win this. I thought, it came down to Carson or Heidi, and Carson really looked like he was pretty, stable. He's pretty calm in the challenge. It looked like he might have won. Heidi took the final win though in the final immunity challenge, so she is going to be safe going into the final 3. But right after she wins, she does bring up the point, like, I now have this power of, like, I get to choose who does the fire because there's only 4 left. So she says, well, maybe I want to do the fire. Maybe I want to put that on my survivor resume, and maybe I'll give up my spot in the final 3 for a chance to win in fire and prove myself to the jury. And that's been talked about before, but they've never really, we might have had someone do it, I don't remember, but it doesn't happen often. That you get people mention it, like, oh, I could do fire and prove myself to the jury one last time. But ultimately, a lot of people just stick around and stay safe. They choose the people who they want to sit next to them, and then they have to battle it out. This time around, Carson, they're all practicing. They basically have like 4 things set up once they get back to the camp. And Carson, you can see basically everyone in the tribe is pretty good at making fire. Carolyn, Jam, Heidi, at least they show them starting fire pretty easily. And Carson is the only one on the tribe who seems to be very, very struggling with the fire making challenge. And you even got a whole thing with Jam coming in to help Carson. I think they just played up this whole thing of Jam just really wants to help him out, despite the game. I know it's like he shouldn't be helping him, but he wants to be a nice person, help out Carson, whatever. It doesn't really help him in the end because Carson is one of the people that does fire. So we get to the final tribal council. Not really a vote though, obviously. So Heidi has to choose who is she going to do the fire. So it's going to be Carson, and Heidi ultimately does choose to do the fire herself. So she gives basically the next spot to the final 3 to Jam. So she gives it to Jam and Carolyn, which immediately to me is like, these are your 2 biggest players that I've seen throughout this whole season. These are the 2 biggest players. It's like, and you're just giving them the final 3 into the final 3. It's like, okay, I don't know if that's the smartest move, but I can also see why you're doing the whole, you're going to do the fire and you're going to try to beat Carson and then, have that for your game, which, it makes sense a little bit because she hasn't really done a whole lot, at least as much as, say, like Jam in this game. And she wants to add that one last thing to her survivor resume. I get it. And she does end up winning. She beats Carson. So Carson is the final person of the jury. So we have our final 3. Our final 3 is Carolyn, Jam, and Heidi. So you can already see the big difference here. It's like Heidi's there. And then you have the 2 big players that have been highlighted over and over and over again this whole season. So you got Jam and you got Carolyn, massive players this whole season. Kind of makes sense that we're seeing them in the end. And now I said this before, like if it came down to Carolyn or Jam, it's going to be kind of a fight. And I was a little wrong on that. I was definitely a little wrong on that. I think the editing of the season kind of tricked me a little bit because one of the players was, as they showed them, I feel like one of the players was overly shown because maybe they were just better entertainment. I don't know. As we get to the final tribal council, the overall final tribal council with the jury, we get some interesting things between Jam, Carolyn, Heidi. We get them talking to the jury, and the jury, it's pretty basic. It's nothing too insane or anything like that. It's just the basic questions like how you played your game, emotional, what are your strengths physically, and how you got your way through the game, your relationships with different people. And ultimately the one thing that I really came away with this time around is Carolyn and Jam kind of seem to have an idea of how they want to present themselves. They present themselves pretty well. And then you got Heidi in there, who is very clearly like the underdog here. At least it seemed that way to me. And she is trying very hard to try and win the jury over. And throughout this whole season, we've had basically none of this, and even now it's not really as big as it has been in the past. I'm not saying it is, but as she's trying to, appeal to the jury, she's going on about how she's like, oh, she would be like the oldest woman to ever win Survivor if you help me win this game, if you vote for me to win. I would be a Latina to win this game. I would be the oldest woman to win the game. Like, it's just stop. Please stop. Just stop with all the little labels you're trying to give yourself as some sort of reason for yourself to win. Like, the only reason you should win or not win is how you played the game. Okay? That's just how it goes. And it's not nearly as bad as it has been in, say, 41, especially in 42. But it is a little bit of a thing right there at the end. It's like, okay, it's really, really lame argument. Just, she's trying really hard in the end to, appeal to the jury. She's interrupting like Jam Jam and Carolyn and whatnot as they're making their final case to the jury. And it's just kind of telling, like, she's really over trying here. It just seems very, very aggressive in a way. And it did not pan out for her. As you can kind of tell, as I'm just kind of explaining it here, is like she is not the winner. I will say that now. She is not our winner this season. It is obviously between one of the two bigger players in season 44. So, who is it going to be? Who is our winner in Survivor 44? Is it Jam Jam? Is it Carolyn? Or not Heidi, as I just said. So is it Carolyn or is it Jam Jam? And the vote actually surprised me. So, Jam Jam is our winner. He is our winner this season in Survivor 44. I thought he was the right choice. He wasn't the most entertaining person this season, but I think he was the right choice for the winner. I think he played the best game among the last three. And Carolyn, it really shows to me that she was focused so heavily on this season because she's just the entertainment. She's just there to be incredibly entertaining through the season. Jam Jam had his moments too. He was definitely like likable in some ways, and he was entertaining too, but nothing like what they did with Carolyn. But ultimately, Jam Jam got all the votes except one vote. Heidi actually managed to squeeze in one vote. She squeezed one vote in there. I'm surprised. Heidi actually got more votes than Carolyn. Carolyn got no votes, which it did surprise me. It really did. I don't think Carolyn should have won. I don't think she played the best game amongst those three. Again, that was Jam Jam, and I think it's another satisfying winner this season. Just like Gabler last season, I am just glad that after 41 and 42, which I bring up all the time, those winners were so baffling to me. Now we're starting to at least get winners that make sense. It may not be your favorite player. It may not be like the most exciting thing, but it makes sense. And I'm just glad he was the one who won among those last three. So Jam Jam is our winner for 44, and I'm very satisfied with that. Carolyn had a weird ending. It just was really weird to me because I just saw her as, I think the editing in the season really manipulated me. It really manipulated me to think that Carolyn was this massive threat to win the game, and I guess maybe she just wasn't. I guess I'm a victim to the Survivor editing this season because they showed her so much throughout this whole season. I didn't really hate or like her. She was just kind of there, and she was entertaining. That's kind of how I view Carolyn. And ultimately, the last like 3 episodes, Jam Jam really stood out as that one guy that was like, he's played the best game, and he has the greatest chance to win this game besides Carolyn. So he won the game. He is our winner this season. No one voted for Carolyn, and Heidi managed to squeeze in one vote. So that is Survivor 44. Survivor 44, it was decent. I don't know if it was better than 43. I don't think it was like better or worse, really. I just think the last two seasons were fine. And it's easy to say, all right, this was a nice step up from how we started this new era of Survivor, where it was so disastrous. And I've been a long time casual viewer of Survivor. I'm not going to say I'm some hardcore guy who knows his deep Survivor lore, knows all the winners and remembers all the players and stuff like that. But I've been watching for a while, And the way 41 just came in and slapped me across the face, and so many other viewers across the face, with how outlandish they were with their politics stuff and just the way they threw it in your face, and Jeff talking to the camera of how, you cancel me, Twitter. I remember that crap with Ricard at the beginning of 41. It's like, this stuff, it's a nice step up from what we had from 41 and 42. It is nice to see Survivor not get too political. It's pretty basic. But I would also like to see a season of Survivor where it's good. I still want to see a really good game. And I think we still struggle with the whole, like, Jeff throwing in a million different twists and turns in the whole season. I think I would just like to see a season of Survivor play out like the normal, like, main game, like how it normally should play. Nothing too special, no weird like little twists and advantages. Just do the idols and maybe some fake idols in there. No more of these like random twists that, especially with the merge stuff, like, just don't do it. Just let the game play out like it normally had been going. It's still entertaining. It's about the people you get in the game and how they interact with each other, and just how they manipulate their way and play their game. That's always the charm to, how a season is good or bad. And Jeff, it can be exciting to see a new twist thrown in, but it's just like a temporary thing. You see it once and it's like, okay, that was interesting, but then you see it for a third and fourth time, season after season, and it's now like getting old. It's getting old. I just want to see the original structure of the game, and I kind of hope we return to that one day. I don't know if we will next season. They showed a little teaser, looked pretty normal, but it's an okay season, and I do want it to get better. Still, I do want it to get better. I want to see some really incredible stuff next season. I don't know if we will. I don't know the players really yet, but from what I've seen, it looks pretty normal, as we would expect right now. Nothing to really worry about, and we'll see where it goes. But I think they're either filming it right now. I looked it up. It's like filming right now or just finishing now. But we'll see where 45 goes. That is coming this fall. And yeah, Jam Jam is a good winner. I'm glad he won. I'm glad he won of who was left. And another satisfying winner. I'm very happy with it. And hopefully next season, though, is just a season full of players that I really like. Because I didn't really have a favorite in this season. I didn't really like any of the players too much. It was just kind of like, I see who is the best one, and the best one, I think, won. And that's good. I'm glad it happened. But Survivor 44, it's done, and we'll see what happens next season.